Behold the beautiful Parthenon here in Athens, Greece. We are right now in the legendary Acropolis, which is the hill right in the middle of Athens. Athens, of course, is the cradle of Western civilization, and the Parthenon is one of those places that fueled all the politics, the philosophy, the economics of Western society today. This dates back all the way to 450 BC, and we're going to take a nice little stroll for about 15 minutes to show you around on the live video. Hope you're doing well. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there in the world. And let me show you the Parthenon for 15 minutes. If you want to see a longer video of the Parthenon, after this broadcast, search Parthenon Urbanist on YouTube, and you'll find my longer, more in-depth history videos about this, or watch my documentary series, The Athens Urbanist, on YouTube. So wow, look at this majesty, built 450 BC. You can still see the structure. You can see how the structure has been emulated all around the world, from New York City to Boston to Philadelphia to London to Rome to Shanghai and even Tokyo. You see this type of architecture all around the world. The Parthenon was amongst the first of the buildings. Now we're in this now classic Greek style. So welcome Daryl, welcome Ermis, welcome Is, welcome everyone. Let me know where you're watching from. Welcome Kay. It's a beautiful day today, about 91 degrees Fahrenheit, around there. This is like the 10th time I've been up here, around there, give or take, and it never gets old. It's truly a mesmerizing experience every time I am up here. Just truly mind-blowing. And I think it's just the fact that this old building, 2 millennia old, 2,000 plus years old, 2,400 years old, is still standing up here after all these years. Almost. You can get a sense of the entire building. That's, I think, the most mind-blowing thing, because I've been to the Roman Forum, I've been to a few ruins in Italy, parts of France, I've been to ruins in Ireland. Here's one of the few places you still get that full sense of an ancient building. Lara says it's nice and hot. It's nice and hot indeed. Oh yeah, I love it. Welcome, si buenas. 500 feet above sea level. That means that we walked about 50 stories tall. I walked right now 50 stories to get up here. Now the walk, especially if you go later in the day, I would recommend going 2 hours before closure. You'll have plenty of time. That's when the sun is already a little bit down, like it is right now, a little bit cooler, and the walk isn't that intense. Now they built better staircases and pathways, wooden pathways, so you don't need to walk here. Hello, Luis Carlo. Nice to see you here. So this was commissioned by the great Greek leader Pericles in midst of various wars that were happening within the Greek city-states, the Peloponnesian Wars. He ended up accessing the coffers of the island of Delos and using it to build these grand structures, not just here in the Acropolis, but surrounding in the Agora as well, which is just on this other side down here. And Pericles really had a vision to make Athens the great city. In that time, the known world. It was the time of Socrates, Aristotle, Plato, you know, give or take a few decades. Sophocles, which I already mentioned, famous for the Oedipus Rex play. Aristophanes, another famous playwright. Diogenes, the famous absurdist philosopher who later Alexander the Great sought advice from. Susie says, how do I adjust to time zones so quickly? Depends on what time you take the flight. This time it was tricky. I took a flight pretty early, 8 p.m. Actually, no. My flight was 1:20 p.m. from New York, and I arrived 6 a.m. here in Athens. I basically, luckily, was able to check into my Airbnb immediately and was able to crash asleep. And I woke up at 3 p.m., so I got a good 7 hours of sleep. And then I just continued exploring. And luckily, the next few days, I was able to maybe wake up at 11, but I was able to adjust. So if you have the luxury of spending a week, 2 weeks in a city that there's a big time zone difference, if you go easy on the first 2 or 3 days and allow yourself to wake up as late or as early as you need, it's a lot easier, for sure. I didn't need to wake up at 7 a.m. I woke up at 11, so it was okay. And then it's okay to take naps. So I felt myself needing a nap today. 3 p.m. I slept for a good 40 minutes, and it was very well needed. Hey Doreen, nice to see you here. Hello Wendy, hello Luis. Hello Ciguenas, bienvenidos a Grecia. Estamos ahora en la bella Parthenon, aquí en Grecia, en Atenas. And behold the beautiful views of Athens, the concrete jungle that is Athens. There we see Mount Lycabettus, which means the Mound of the Wolves. That is one of the best viewpoints of Athens within the city center. Over here we have majestic building. I still have a tough time pronouncing this building. Erechtheion, I think it's pronounced. But right here we have the famous columns. They're in the shape of women. These are not the original columns. They were changed. They were the original ones are stored inside the Acropolis Museum, and there's I think one or more in the British Museum, and then these other ones are replicas. Let's go down and get a better look. Hey, hello Barris, hello Oleg, hello Paul. Right here we have the Propylaea, the grand entrance to the Acropolis. Samuel says, I can't wait for your coffee documentary, but you love all the live videos I do from Greece. Man, I'm so happy you're enjoying them. Thank you so much. Barris is watching from LA. Awesome. Susie says you need a hat. Yes, if you're coming up here to the Acropolis, 100% a hat is recommended. I recommend having a hat that fits you well, because if a breeze comes, it will fly off. And you don't want to chase after a hat up here with slippery marble. But aside from that, yeah, there's barely shade up here. So if you need shade, then consider buy yourself a parasol. Not an umbrella. The umbrella will only serve to make you hotter, like this gentleman over here. Better buy yourself an actual parasol, which is white and usually made of a different cloth. Paul says, where are you going to next? Not sure yet. You gotta stay tuned, Paul. Stay tuned. Day by day. Every new day is an adventure here on Urbanist. Hey, Michelle says, will I be doing any documentaries in the Minoans? I do not have plans to go to Crete this time around. I did like a video on the Minoans a short video last summer, so you can check that one out. But they're a fascinating civilization. We're very far away from Crete at the moment. That's where the Minoans were centralized. Hey, Samuel says this would be a perfect place to do a philosophical chat. I wish I could, you know, Acropolis isn't as camera friendly, so that's why I'm not chatting too much. I think they got in just a bit kind of more stricter in the past years, but yes, this would be an excellent place. But there's nearby places that would do a philosophical chat. For example, there's a mound right, not this one, but right behind the propylaea. Julia says, are there people selling snacks? No snacks, no water. Bring your own water bottle. Very, very important to bring your own water bottle when you're up here. Bring a frozen one. If you're staying in a place with a fridge or freezer, freeze it up the night before. And then by the time you're up here, it's be pretty melted. And there's water fountains usually here. They're usually working. And you'll be able to hydrate. What tools did they use to hoist these columns? They had like a pulley system. I don't know exactly how it worked, but it was like a pulley system. And then they, of course, used wheels, but I think not as much as construction many centuries later. And then there was no really big animals of burden here, as far as I know. There was not really oxes coming up here. So it was mostly like pulleys. And then most of this marble. Okay, so I think I ran out of cell phone reception in front of the Parthenon. Always happens. Cell service in Greece is pretty steady, pretty awesome most of the country, but here is like one of the few places where it doesn't have the best cell phone reception. So someone asked, how did they even pull up these rocks? A lot of these rocks were from the nearby Mount Pentelicos, I think it's pronounced. Pentelios? Let me know how to say it, you say it in English. And that is the main source of marble for the Greeks, the Athenians, back in ancient times. And that's pretty nearby, it's within driving distance. And they would use apparently a pulley system to mount a lot of these columns. And these columns are not like the ancient Egyptians, which some of them they built in one piece. These columns are in sections, and you can easily see these sections right over here. So it was more manageable to carry these individual sections. Now, why isn't there a rooftop? So usually, in some of these older buildings from 2 millennia ago, some of them still have rooftops. The nearby Temple of Hephaestus in the Greek Agora is still there, still has a full rooftop. The Parthenon in Rome has a rooftop. But why doesn't this have a rooftop? Well, the Ottomans had control over Greece for 400 years. The Ottomans didn't care too much about ancient Greek culture as far as I've read, as far as I know. It's kind of very evident the more I read the history of Greece in the past few centuries. So a part of their lack of care for Greek culture, they decided to rather honor this place or use it to be open for some other function. They stored explosives right inside here, right in the middle of this building known as the Parthenon. It had a full roof. Basically, the building was almost fully intact by that era. I think this was around 1600s, 1700s, 1800s. I have a full short video where all the details are up there. But a few centuries ago, they had explosives here, and the Ottomans were in constant war with the Venetians. And the Venetians knew about these explosives, apparently. So they aimed their artillery from the sea over here to the Acropolis, aiming for the Parthenon, not to destroy this great monument, but because it was convenient for them, because there was explosives inside, they knew it would destroy this area, which was a powerful lookout point / fort. And that's what they did. A bomb came right over here towards the Parthenon, unleashed a fire. The fire exploded and blew up the roof of the Parthenon. And that's why to this day we have no longer a rooftop on the Parthenon. You can blame either the Ottomans or the Venetians or both. Up to you. Dwayne says, thank you so much for answering my question on this. Man, my pleasure. Thank you so much for tuning in. Feel free to ask me anything. I'll stick around for like 5 more minutes. Now, another fun fact is that none of these columns are equal in width or in height. All these columns are different. The reason is it was done so the structure can look straight from a distance, completely symmetrical from a distance. But in reality, nothing symmetrical here. And the columns, since they're different height and widths, it's built along to form along the terrain, and the terrain kind of slopes down this way. If you kind of notice, it's a little bit evident here in the camera, especially if I go wide angle here, you can kind of see that it slopes down. And because of that slope, if they were to build all the columns in the same width and height, the building would look oblong. It would look off. So these architects, very smart. Phidias, being the main architect, knew that he had to build every column slightly different. And that way, from a distance, it looks completely symmetrical. Brownlight Girl says, so nice to see Ariel back in Greece. Very exciting. Parthenon looks splendid. It does indeed. Samuel says, stay hydrated. Oh, yes. Mika says, what? No eating and drinking today? Oh, eating and drinking will be happening. So welcome, welcome, everyone. All right. Let me show you a little bit more of the views here. Do you get yourself a Fredo? Says Samuel. I did, Samuel. Do I have one particular coffee shop that I love? The best coffee I had in Greece in general was in Naxos. The best in Athens. That's a good question. I think some of the best in Athens I had is in a coffee shop called Little Tree Bookshop. It's right by here, right by the entrance of the Acropolis, only like a 2-minute walk away, and it is amazing. Though coffee here in Athens is generally amazing everywhere, so I wouldn't stress about finding good coffee. It's not like in the US where you can find both great coffee and also terrible coffee, or some other countries like France. But here, definitely coffee, it's similar to Italy. There's basically good coffee almost everywhere. So this is the concrete jungle that is Athens, surrounded by the gray buildings of various styles, neoclassical, Bauhaus, Art Deco, modern, 20th century modern, and the list goes on. These are the Polykatikia. You can learn all about them in my documentary series, The Athens Urbanist, on YouTube, Urbanist Exploring Cities. And one more time, we're gonna end where we began. I appreciate everyone tuning in. This is a short live stream because I'm with company. But stay tuned, I might do more mini live videos in the days. One more time, over here is the Parthenon. Thank you everyone so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. I have many live videos of the Parthenon. The ones from 2021 are the ones I get more deep into history. See here at the Parthenon, and I have short videos. So just search Urbanist Parthenon or Urbanist Acropolis and you'll find them. What was the Parthenon used for? Well, it was like a temple for Athena. There was a military usage for it because this was the best viewpoint towards the port of Piraeus, which was a very important port for the ancient Athenians. And then there was other governmental buildings in this area. Religious site / military site. That was the two main uses, as far as I know. The Agora, which is below the hill, right next to it, is the area where there's the most civic buildings. There was a huge statue of Athena right in the middle, right here in the Parthenon. Massive statue, close to the ceiling height. There's a full-scale replica of the Parthenon located, I think it's in Georgia. I'm actually now very curious to see it myself. How do you live stream? Wi-Fi or mobile data? Mobile data. I buy a local SIM card. In this case, I bought a local physical SIM card, but I can also buy eSIMs. I can be here all day long. It's some of the most beautiful sights I've ever seen in my life. Up there with the Pantheon of Rome, with the New Grange of Ireland, Stonehenge. This is one of the top sites you'll see in Europe. Highly, highly recommend it. Athens, you know, Athens is a tricky city. There's not too many tourist sites, but in this immediate area, it is a gem in Europe. So highly recommend it. Thank you everyone so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this live broadcast. Keep being awesome and always keep on exploring. Have a great day, everyone. As the Greeks say,
Over here.
yes, adios.